Okay, we are starting now. For those of you who are listening on demand, you know the routine, how we do on Saturday Fantasy Baseball and every other show that we do. We don't do commercials and we don't do ads. We don't do any of that, but we definitely wait for the sound to come through the chat room before we get going on all of our wonderful nuggets, tidbits, and game score highlights. Now you can refresh, Leonard. Tell them all. Refresh.
Okay. We have the sound to refresh everybody.
All right, refresh to everybody. It's great to see you. Our resident Dr. Dennis Timko says, good afternoon from the Adriatic Sea coast. He has a family vacation going with Aiden, and I wish, I would like, the last couple of days I've wanted to mention your wife a couple times, but I don't remember her name. I haven't actually met Dennis Timko's wife, but hopefully I will in the future. She sounds like a great lady, and I hope that your family is having a wonderful time. We are at the La Quinta Hotel in Edgewood, Maryland. We're going to a great function today, but Lenny tried to say, let's do Lady and the Legend instead of Saturday Fantasy Baseball, and I said, no way, because I like to do Saturday Fantasy Baseball, and I appreciate everybody joining me in the chat room. Today is official Brad Hand Day in our chat room. Brad Hand, I'm sure most of you are shaking your heads about why Brad Hand, but I'll tell you why. He is now officially the first player to play for all 5 current NL East teams after he made his Braves debut. So he's played for every team in the NL East, all right? And that was, I couldn't find a lot of other good stuff clearly in the Nuggets today to announce any one player a specific day. But today is Brad Hand Day. He deserves it, right? He's pitched for a lot of years, and this is not the pinnacle of his career by any means, but the guy had some great seasons, and so I figured it was a good day to honor Brad Hand in our chat today. Good morning to All-Star Dog, Boston Paul, Data Premier, Eddie Heckman, J.R. Matz and family, Moose, Mikey, Danny, Leonard Donaldson, Rotorius A.E., King Turd Jr., All-Star Dog, Triple Play. I'm wondering where Malpel is. Tommy Johnson, thanks for coming. Are there any guests, Leonard?
Leonard Donaldson.
Leonard Donaldson, I said.
No,
and Boston Paul is here. Yes, okay.
Okay, go get him.
All right. Luis Severino.
Did you say Unholy Toledo?
Oh, Unholy's here. I can't see his name. You have to always remind me when he comes.
You can't leave out Unholy
No,
Toledo.
I can't leave out Unholy, Audrey, Tilly, Scooter, Rudy, and Molly.
White Sox Al and Tommy Johnson.
I said Tommy Johnson, but thank you, Leonard. White Sox Al is here. All right, we appreciate everybody joining us today. Let's get started on our baseball love. Well, this one isn't really about love. Severino has allowed 10 combined first inning earned runs over his last 2 starts. He's horrible. We have some more nuggets about how bad he's been in the first inning when we do the game recaps. Walker Buehler, for those of you hoping that he'll be back September 1st, we know from Walker Buehler himself that his target was September 1st to return, and it looks like it's getting closer to that target date. It looks like he's made some progress coming back, and it really does seem at this stage of the game that Walker Buehler should be back right about September 1st. He threw his bullpen session yesterday, and the pitching coach said he looked great. He looked like Walker, which reminds me of when you talk about old school Walker Buehler, I think about Verlander, because I saw, when I was lucky enough to attend a Mets game before he got traded, I saw old school Verlander. It was his second to last start for the Mets. Just a few days ago, he pitched again before he got traded. And when I got to see him, he was better than when he was his most recent start, but he was looking like old school Verlander. And yes, I drafted this guy on almost every team. I really believed he would be excellent coming out of Tommy John surgery. He's just an excellent pitcher. Now he's got a brand new elbow, right? So, I mean, that's kind of how I looked at it. But he started the season off on the injured list, We waited, you know, and it wasn't because of that. It was because of something else. But regardless of that, let me get back on track here. Okay. Verlander was pitching great when I saw him. And 61 pitches in 6 innings it took him. And it was unbelievable. Over 50 of those pitches were strikes. And I don't know how it's going to be in Houston, but I could say this. Verlander is back on. He is available in every AL only league out there. And so there's going to be a big struggle session this weekend in waiver wire claims. And what do you guys think in the chat room about Houston getting Verlander back when he had his best years of his career in Houston? I mean, he fit in great there, right? That was when he was excellent. So we'll see what happens, but with Verlander being available, he's come up in a lot of different conversations, and especially in these only leagues where, you know, there's a lot of different things in play here, but let's move on. Is Buehler worth picking up and dropping Tyler Wells?
Yes.
Well, Lenny says yes immediately, so there's your answer for that, but Tyler Wells in the minors. Buehler isn't back yet. I don't know if I'd want to do that right this minute. Maybe. Walker Buehler I would definitely pick up. All right. The Dodgers have officially added Ryan Yarbrough to their active roster, and they sent down Emmett Sheehan after he pitched 4 innings the other day. But I do think Yarbrough will probably start for the Dodgers tonight. The timing is there to say that since he's now officially on the roster and the Dodgers have not decided on a starter for today's game. I wish Malpal was here so I could tell him about these poor Padres. For the season, the San Diego Padres are batting .229 with runners in scoring position, and they did it again yesterday. Only one team has a worse batting average with runners in scoring position. And that would be, you guessed it, the Oakland A's. Bobby Witt Jr. hit another home run yesterday. I would have made it Bobby Witt Jr. Day, but we already did that last Saturday or Sunday. He hits another homer. He's the first player in MLB history with 20 homers, 30 stolen bases in each of his first 2 seasons. Here's one for you, King Turd. The other day we were talking about how Yuri Perez was coming back, and I said, well, it doesn't really say anything in that about him coming back because the lady, the manager, Ing, she said there was no timetable for Yuri to come back, so I was hesitant to believe that little tidbit. But now we have Craig Mish reporting that Yuri Perez is expected to rejoin the big league club next week for the series against the Yankees in Miami. What a relief it is for any of you who've been so grateful to have Yuri Perez on your roster all season, and then he gets sent down, and it wasn't really anything that he did, but he will be back next week, so you can be cheering for that, King Turd especially. Okay, tough news for Boston Paul and the Padres. Do you know what? I'll tell you why I say Boston Paul in just a moment. But they shut down Joe Musgrove. He's out till September. I have to admit, I have mixed feelings about this, and I think it's a situation we can all relate with. I drafted, in NL only, I drafted this guy Musgrove so early, okay? I waited for him for half the season. He was not good. He was injured half the time. Then he came off the injured list, and he stunk. I got sick of him, and then I traded him, and the minute I traded him, I got back Gianni Gallegos, and this guy is not even the closer the next day, and Joe Musgrove was pitching like a madman, and all of a sudden, I feel a little relieved that Musgrove goes on the deal. I mean, that sounds horrible. Nobody wants a player to get hurt, okay, personally. I don't like people to be hurt. But in fantasy, when you trade away a player like this, like Musgrove, and he starts pitching good, and then all of a sudden he gets hurt, I don't know, you still feel a little bit happy about it, whether you admit it or not. Felix Bautista. Eddie, you'll like this one. Now, Felix Bautista, 51 2/3 innings pitched, an ERA less than 1, 23 hits. The key here is the strikeouts. 101 strikeouts, 29 saves. Is he a legit Cy Young? I see this all over the place. A lot of people talking about it. And I keep thinking to myself what I saw in Josh Hader's stats the other day. I looked at Josh Hader's stats and I said, holy moly. He's got an ERA under 1 and his whip is under 1. His ERA is less than his whip. And even though he doesn't have 29 saves like Batista, he still has 26 saves. So I think to myself, why is Batista being talked about as a Cy Young, but nobody says Josh Hader? And as I mentioned before, the secret is out. The Hader only has 62 strikeouts, but Batista has 101 strikeouts. That's the difference between the two. But everything else, is very similar. So I don't really believe in giving a closer a Cy Young, but look, I'm not going to get upset if it happens. Now, we talk about Eloy. Is Eloy coming? He hasn't been for the last 2 days because he's been out because he has some kind of sore heel. Yesterday, he was out for the second day, and they allowed him to pinch hit, even though he flied out. Still, the good news is he was in the game as a pinch hitter, so it doesn't look like Eloy is trending towards the injured list. In fact, the other direction. The Braves and their home runs, okay? The most home runs through 107 games in MLB history was the Twins. And that happened in 2019 when they hit 209 homers in the first 107 games. The Braves right now this was not the end of the game, so they might have hit another home run after this came out, but they were only one behind the Twins. And we still have plenty of time for them. They're definitely not going to stay in second place on this. I mean, this will happen today. They're going to tie the Twins. Now, the interesting thing about the Twins in 2019, when they broke this record with 209 home runs in 107 games, they set the single season record with 307 home runs that season. So, clearly the Braves are well on their way to shatter that one too, of 307 home runs as a team in a season. Cole Hamels retires, and I know lots of us here have been watching baseball forever, so we definitely remember the ups and downs of Cole Hamels. But I would say the sports media vultures approve of this guy. They said that he valiantly tried for one more comeback. So, with courage and determination, Cole Hamels tried to make a comeback, but it didn't work out. So Craig Stammen, Cole Hamels, both officially placed on the voluntary retired list. Cole Hamels had some great seasons. He was a World Series MVP in 2008, and he finishes his career with 163 wins to 122 losses, alongside a 3.43 ERA, a 1.18 whip, and 4 All-Star games. Earlier in the season, we talk a lot about Carlos Correa, and obviously, even before the season, we were talking about Carlos Correa. At one point, I distinctly remember King Turd talking about whether or not he should drop Correa. That is such a crazy move to make. Not crazy, but it's hard. It's a hard move to make in fantasy. It was a risk because he was considering if he kept Correa, he wouldn't be able to get Ellie, okay? And I think tell me who your other youngsters were that you had on your team, King Turd. I'm trying to tell the story again because I have here in front of me an interesting nugget about Carlos Correa versus Anthony Volpe. And the Yankees were interested in Carlos Correa, and the fans were begging these guys to get Carlos Correa. The Yankees fans really wanted him. Now they have Volpe instead of Correa. And if you compare these two numbers, Correa this is the big difference between these two, okay? We're going to cut through the BS. We don't need to give the stats for everybody, but I'll tell you right now that Volpe is clearly the more productive player than Correa is this year, and it all comes down to number of stolen bases. This guy, Volpe, doesn't only hit home runs, but he steals 20 bases, and Correa is 0 for stolen bases. The rest of their stats are similar, but Volpe still has the edge in home runs and clearly stolen bases. He's got more home runs and stolen bases. Anthony Volpe, over his last 12 games, is batting .303 with a .410 on base percentage, .485 slugging, an .895 OPS, 1 home run, 5 RBIs. He's really starting to get it together. And I don't think he was ever that bad, really. I mean, he had his ups and downs for sure. Every rookie will, but they left him in there, and he struggled through it. And you got to give him credit because he's just brand new at this, especially with the Yankees and their fans and their media. Holy moly. It's a tough crowd. Now, Ellie De La Cruz hasn't stolen a base in 15 games. 133 different players have recorded a stolen base since 15 games. I don't care about this tidbit. I don't care if Ellie De La Cruz doesn't steal a base for the rest of the season because he is going to be a force to be reckoned with. And while I realize that people are probably disappointed that he's not stealing many bases, he did hit something great yesterday that we're going to get to talk about. And he is not having a bad season at the plate, whether he steals bases or not. That is going to come in next season. He's going to be so good, and he's fun to watch, okay? He makes baseball fun. Now, John Heyman, of course, wants to let us know that we should give the Dodgers credit, because they really did try to add a high-end starter this deadline. All right, John Heyman, they really did try to add a high-end starter, so we should give the Dodgers credit. Don't pick on the Dodgers. He does mention that the Dodgers were offering multiple prospects for Max Scherzer. They were trying to get Scherzer, and the multiple prospects combined were thought to be about the same value of the younger Acuna, Luis Angel. Maybe you say Luis Angel. I'm not sure. Let's just call him Acuna. Wait, the first one is Acuna Jr., so we can't call this one Acuna Jr. We can call him Acuna, the younger Acuna. That's the name. Ahmed Rosario has 7 RBI in his first 6 games with the Dodgers. Only 11 players have had more in their first 6 games with the Dodgers since RBI was an official stat in 1920.
Guess who went to the injured list?
Guess who went to the injured list? Let me guess. Eloy?
Byron Buxton.
Oh, Byron. Byron Buxton, too.
It's the first thing that I wrote down.
Yes. How about L.A., Acuna? Yeah, okay. But I don't like... Nah, let's not do that. Keep coming with your answers. Keep it up in the chat room. Everybody's chatting, and it's great times for all. Now, this one's for you, too. Unholy and King Turd. Because the run differentials for baseball right now have the Texas Rangers leading the way all of baseball with 159 positive run differential, and coming in number 5 in Major League Baseball in run differentials is the Chicago Cubbies, okay?
Malpal's here.
And Malpal, you're here. Amazingly enough, the Padres come in right after the Cubbies. The Cubbies have 79 positive run differential. They rank 5th in MLB, and San Diego Padres rank 6th. But I could tell you this, that the Texas Rangers have a double run differential from the Cubbies or the Padres. How has Paxton been? Okay, no, he wasn't good yesterday. Well, I can't remember, but we're going to talk about Paxton because he pitched last night. So let's move on. There's only 2 batters in Major League Baseball that we walked intentionally this season with no runners on base. It's Aaron Judge and Ohtani. Also, Sal Frelick, his first at-bat against a left-handed pitcher was a home run, which is notable because Sal Frelick is a lefty, and it was nice and encouraging to see that he can hit lefties. Freddie Freeman, let's give a little bit of love to Freddie Freeman. He recorded his 40th double this season in his 107th game. It's the fewest games by a Dodger since 1900 to 40 doubles in a single season. And Freddie Freeman is batting .341 with 22 homers, 76 RBIs, 40 doubles, 14 stolen bases, and an OPS of 1.016. Okay, no, the question has to be asked. Can we say... First it was, who is the MVP in the National League? Is it going to be Mookie Betts or is it going to be Acuna? Now we have to say, is Mookie Betts even the best player on his own team? Because Freddie Freeman he's got 31 hits in his last 15 games. All right? It's unbelievable. Now let's go right over to the games for the day. The Braves beat the Cubbies 8-0. The Braves have won 3 straight and 6 of their last 7. And the Cubbies entered the game having won 3 straight and 13 of the last 16. But alas, the Cubbies. And we knew that was a possibility. Even Unholy pointed out that the Braves were coming to town and it was not going to be cute. Whoops. Don't lose your tablet. Hold on. All right. I'm not from the comfort of my home today. Walker Buehler, we talked about that already. We talked about this stuff. Oh, we're already at the games. Let's go to the games. Cubbies. Max Fried back, right? Max Fried back from injury, dominated through 6 innings, allowed 3 base runners. All of them were from singles. He struck out 8, and he exited after only 72 pitches. That's great. He retired the first 12 Cubbies hitters with no hard contact, and he improved to 5-0 against the Cubs for his career. On the other side, you had Kyle Hendricks pitching. He actually set down the first 9 batters, but he ended up with 7 earned runs on 8 hits. He struck out 3 and didn't walk anybody in 4 innings. Austin Riley hit a homer. Braves hitters, I told you, lead the majors. Not just that, but they're about to break an all-time record for the most home runs. They also went deep consecutively for the 2nd straight game and for the 14th time this season. It was Sean Murphy and Marcell Ozuna homering on back-to-back pitches in Atlanta's 7-run 4th inning. Acuna had 3 hits. The 4th inning, the Atlanta Braves had 11 batters up to hit. Ozzie Albies, Matt Olson, and Orlando Arcia, who's having a pretty decent year. They all doubled. Brad Hand, debut with the Braves, he allowed 1 hit in 1 inning. And catcher Tucker Barnhart, he threw a scoreless 9th, okay? To make room for Fried on the roster, the Braves designated Dalton Guthrie for assignment. And tonight you get to see Bryce Elder, and the Cubbies, they have not yet named a starter. The Tampa Bay Rays beat the Detroit Tigers 8-0, another 8-0 game in a row. The Rays won for the 4th time in 5 games, and the Tigers have lost 7 of their last 9. Zach Littell won his 2nd straight start, 3 hits, 1 walk, 6 innings. Reese Olson took the loss, allowing 4 runs on 5 hits and 3 walks in 5 innings. Jose Siri homered, drove in 3 runs. Harold Ramirez, 3 hits. He scored twice. Isaac Paredes, 2 hits and 2 RBIs. Good morning, Daniel. Great to see you. Glad to see you. Danny, I hope you've been listening to our Dodgers conversation. We've had a lot of it today. I think you're going to get Yarbrough up to pitch for you to start today. Unholy says, Austin Riley batting 3rd, still gave himself up to move a runner to 3rd base. Braves play the game right. Yes, they do. They sure do. Maybe they're the new Cardinals. I got to say, I'm pretty disappointed in the Cardinals this year. I still think that the Cardinals way and the organization is great. And that's why I compare them to the Braves organization, because in a way, they have a lot of similarities. They just put together a good team. Tarek Skubal goes against Aaron Savali tonight. The Nationals beat the Reds 6-3. Poor Reds, poor J.R. Matz, poor Moose, Mikey, and Danny. The Reds lost their 4th straight game. They entered yesterday in 2nd place in the National League Central, only a half game behind Milwaukee, and the Nationals are in last place in the National League East. Graham Ashcraft, 3 runs, 5 hits, struck out 5 in 8 full innings. That's a good outing. It was the longest outing of the season for him. Corbin allowed 4 hits in 6 1/3 with 2 strikeouts. Not a bad outing for Corbin, who made it through 6 1/3. Nick Senzel, Matt McLean, both homered on back-to-back pitches from Corbin. So, okay, that's 2 home runs allowed to add on to his 6 and the third innings, okay? And he only struck out 2, so I don't like it as much as I did. But Lane Thomas hit 2 home runs. That was his 18th of the season. I could have made it Lane Thomas Day. Joey Meneses.
How about Lenny Day?
How about Lenny Day? Lenny Day is every day. And this one for Boston Paul, Joey Meneses. Of course, I do the podcast by myself once a week. And I have to eat my words about Joey Meneses because I tease Paul all the time. He may be a good hitter, but he can't hit home runs. And this guy has doubled his number of home runs on the season at least twice in the last week or so. Anyway, congratulations. I have to mention Joey Meneses. Ellie De La Cruz. Now, he might not be stealing bases, but he rocketed a line drive into the left field seat. Oh, he did. He hit a homer, so you got that going. And
Eddie Caprio.
This homer was the first one that he's hit from the right side of the plate. You know, Ellie is a switch hitter, and this matters. So while people are out there crying and complaining about his stolen base numbers, look at what else he's doing. He is excellent. I can't give enough praise to this kid, although I can't say I'm going to draft him in the first round, which I'm afraid might happen if he continues to hit like this. Eddie Caprio, welcome aboard. Thanks for coming. Malpal, you're here. Good job. Thank you very much. All right. Blake Rutherford. Oh, Kyle Finnegan. I can't forget Kyle Finnegan. He got his 16th save in the 10th inning. Blake Rutherford was promoted from AAA Rochester. He made his major league debut. He started in left field. He batted 6th for the Nationals, but he went 0 for 4. Corey Dickerson cleared unconditional release waivers. He is now a free agent. Tonight, you get to see Andrew Abbott, who's excellent, 6-2 with 66 strikeouts and a 1.90 ERA against Joan Adone. Yeah, definitely much more excited for Abbott in this case. Also, Jonathan India is expected to return on Tuesday. He has plantar fasciitis. The Astros beat the Yankees 7-3. Now, including last year's sweep in the American League Championship Series, the Astros are 10-3 against the Yankees since the start of last season. They also improved to 13-7 since the All-Star break, and they are 7-4 in a stretch of playing 8 of 9 series against opponents with winning records. So, don't count the Astros out. Especially now they got Verlander again. But you can't mess around with those Rangers. Best run differential in baseball. Hunter Brown won consecutive starts for the first time since April. He allowed 2 runs, 5 hits, 6 innings. He struck out 4 and he walked 1. But Severino, good grief. This poor guy. He allowed 5 runs and 5 hits in 4+ innings. His ERA went from 7.49 to 7.74 and lost his 4th straight decision. His ERA in the first inning is 13.85. It's the most among pitchers with at least 10 starts. He just was horrible. He started the second inning with consecutive walks to Chas McCormick and Jeremy Pena, and then Altuve got a single, and then he plunked Bregman with a pitch. It's no good. Yanier Diaz hit a 3-run homer, all right, off of Severino, and then Yordan Alvarez homered in the 5th, and this is the most horrible thing for Severino, because after he allowed that home run to Yordan Alvarez, he got booed off the mound. He sat down at the end of the dugout, and then a few teammates came over to cheer him up, but still, you don't want to get booed out of Yankee Stadium off the mound. Can you imagine how just horrible that would feel? But these Yankees fans, they don't mess around, okay? All right, Jake Bauers, Kiner Falefa, homered. Stanton homered for the 3rd straight game. And Aaron Judge, can you imagine this? This is just unheard of in my world. Aaron Judge was held out of the starting lineup for the 2nd time since he returned from his toe injury. He struck out with 2 on as a pinch hitter in the 7th inning, so he did come in to pinch hit, but he struck out. That, to me, it's like what do you expect from this guy? You put him on the bench, and he's finally back healthy. You got him on the bench. You use him as a pinch runner, and or a pinch hitter, and of course he's going to strike out because he has zero. I mean, these guys, they need to be in the lineup. If he had 3 or 4 at bats, I truly believe he wouldn't have stood there and struck out. But how frustrating is that? I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs, but what I know is that even when players are hurt, they still want to be in the game. So there's no possible way that Aaron Judge is okay with sitting in the dugout until he's allowed to come out and pinch hit. Okay, that's my opinion. Jonathan Loaizaga, 2 runs, 4 hits on 21 pitches in his 3rd rehab appearance for AAA. He will have this weekend off and could be activated next week. Verlander tonight starting for the Houston Astros against Nestor Cortez. The Kansas City Royals, this one's for you, All-Star Dog. Our friend Stardog does not watch the Royals anymore because he's very livid with them and their inability to put together a decent team, but their ability to rely on the taxpayer money to build a new stadium. He is livid about it, okay? And I don't blame him. So I told him he could come to this chat room and rant anytime he wants. They still won their 7th straight game yesterday. They beat the Phillies 7-5, and it's the longest streak. Wait, let me ask you a question, Stardog. Did you start watching you stopped watching the Royals about 7 games ago? Because that's how Murphy's Law works, you know. It's maybe all they needed was for you to stop liking them, and now they're doing good. It's the Royals' longest streak since 2017. They've outscored their opponents 47-26. Kansas City starting pitchers have a 2.59 ERA over the last 7 games. They had lost 29 of 33 series before their winning streak. They're in last place still in the American League Central, and they have the 2nd fewest wins in baseball, second only to, the Oakland A's. Phillies opened a 10-game homestand. They began play holding the 2nd wildcard spot in a tight race, and counting yesterday, they're going to play in 33 of their final 53 games at home. They are now 28-21 at Citizens Bank Park. Aaron Nola, 5 runs, 8 hits, 5 1/3 innings. He tied Kurt Schilling for 7th all-time in Philly starts with his 226th outing. Let me look at the chat room. Joey Meneses for MVP? Yes, okay. Lenny got a chuckle out of that, okay. Jordan Lyles, 5 runs, 8 hits, 5 2/3. He earned the win, and we told you what Bobby Witt Jr. did. He also stole his 32nd base and hit his 20th homer. He's batting .531. He's got 4 homers and 15 RBIs, along with 4 stolen bases during the last 7-game winning streak for the Kansas City Royals. Michael Massey went deep. Nick Castellanos homered. Austin Cox, remember the name, COX, he pitched a scoreless 9th for his first save. The Royals' streak of 14 consecutive steals without getting caught was snapped in the 5th when Witt was caught, but Kansas City upped its season total to 103 stolen bases with 4 last night. They entered 3rd in the American League in the category of stolen bases. Tonight you get to see Alec Marsh against Christopher Sanchez. The Orioles beat the Mets 10-3 in Buck Showalter's first return to Camden Yards. Showalter got a video tribute and a standing ovation from the fans in Baltimore, which is very classy and wonderful. You know, he was there for a long time, from 2010 to 2018. And then yesterday won for the 6th time in 8 games to still stay 2 ahead of Tampa Bay. Yes, so he was with Baltimore for a long time. Now he's with the Mets, and he did beat Baltimore yesterday. No, the Baltimore beat the Mets. That's what I'm confused about. Then won for the 6th time in 8 games. Okay, yes, he's a Met now. He won last night. No, how can I say? Listen carefully, okay? The Orioles beat the Mets 10-3. Is that right?
Yes.
Or did the Mets? Okay,
Orioles beat the Mets.
10-3.
Mets will not win another game. 10-3.
Then he just made a great. Comment. He said that the Mets won't win another game. That's interesting. Thank you, Danny Fuller. James McCann, 3 hits, 5 RBIs. He's the first catcher to go 3 for 3 or better with a walk, a stolen base, and at least 5 RBIs since RBI became an official stat in 1920. Go, James McCann.
And the Mets are paying him.
Jordan Westberg hit a 3-run homer. Dean Kremer, having not a bad season, but he allowed 1 hit in 5 innings, and then he turned around in the 6th inning. He started walking the bases loaded. Okay, that's not good. Baltimore scored 4 runs that inning. David Peterson worked 3 scoreless innings, and you got Starling Marte reinstated from the injured list. He went hitless yesterday. Tonight you get to see Kyle Gibson against Tyler McGill. Sorry, Eddie, for just getting that game all screwed up, okay? The Mets lost 10-3, which is great. I have to say, I like when the Baltimore Orioles win. The Guardians beat the White Sox 4-2. It was a crowd of 37,056. It was Cleveland's 5th sellout of the season.
Big Al.
Hello, Big Al. Great to see you. Good timing. We just talked about the Mets. The White Sox scored both of their runs in the 3rd inning when their first 5 batters reached base. The White Sox have lost 5 in a row. They're 25 games below 500 for the first time since 2018. The Guardians returned from a 2-5 road trip that dropped them 2.5 games behind the Twins in the American League Central. Mike Clevenger, 5 innings, 4 runs, only 3 of those earned, and he struck out 2. Rookie Logan Allen, who I like, he got his first home victory in more than 3 months, allowed 2 runs and 4 hits over 6 innings, struck out 5 and walked 4. I don't like the walks on there, but okay. Andres Jimenez, 2-run homer. He had a career-high 3 extra base hits last night. Emmanuel Clase, he got his 29th save, and he ties Felix Bautista for the American League lead in saves. Jose Ramirez, RBI single, and I already told you that Andres Jimenez had 3 extra base hits for a career high. Andrew Vaughn went 2 for 4, and Josh Naylor on the 10-day injured list. He's got a right oblique strain. He was batting .306 with 15 homers and a team-high 79 RBIs, and now he is expected to miss 3 to 6 weeks, which is stinky for people that have Josh Naylor on their team. Noah Syndergaard tonight against Michael Kopech. That should be good. The Blue Jays tied their season high with 5 home runs in a 7-3 victory over the Red Sox. What? Am I boring you, Leonard?
No.
He's yawning. All right. So James Paxton, 5 innings, 4 runs, a season-high 9 hits allowed. He did strike out 4, but he gave up a homer on the game's first pitch, and then again another homer 2 batters later, and a 3rd home run allowed by the 7th batter. So James Paxton allowed 3 home runs by the 7th batter. Davis Schneider homered in his first major league at bat. He hit 21 home runs this year at AAA Buffalo, so Davis Schneider, first at bat, home run. Whit Merrifield, Vladdy Jr., Dalton Varsho, and Matt Chapman all hit home runs to help the Blue Jays increase their lead over Boston for the 3rd and final wild card spot in the American League. Lots of tight spots for the wild card this year in all divisions. Both leagues. Toronto beat Boston for the first time in 8 chances this season. And your boy Manoah, he's 3-8, but he still made it through 6 2/3 innings. He allowed 3 runs and struck out 5. Jarren Duran homered, Yu Chang homered. The Red Sox have lost 5 of their last 6 games. Merrifield, his 14th career leadoff homer. All right, Luis Urias was recalled from AAA for the Red Sox, and Christian Arroyo was designated for assignment. Thanks to Boston Paul, I knew that yesterday.
Yeah.
Justin Turner missed his third straight game with a left heel contusion, and tonight you get to see Jose Barrios. We don't know who Boston will put out there, but we're pretty sure it's going to be an opener. Bowden or Bender going to be there today? I don't think so, but you never know, because a lot of our producers from Sirius, neither of those guys are coming. Lots of producers. Adolis Garcia hit 2 solo homers. Corey Seager went deep. The Rangers beat the Marlins 6-2 yesterday. The poor Marlins not doing great, but they are getting Yuri Perez back, and that is a fact. He came from Craig Mish, who we trust a lot. He doesn't just throw willy-nilly things out there. The Indians, yes, the Indians. Texas maintained their 1.5 game AL West lead over Houston. Texas pitchers combined for 10 strikeouts and only 1 walk. It's the 4th game in a row, all 4 that they've won, by the way, that they've had at least 10 strikeouts. The Marlins missed a chance to move into the National League's 3rd wild card spot. They are still half a game behind the Reds. But the newly acquired Jordan Montgomery worked all the way into the 7th inning, struck out 6, walked 1, and allowed 2 runs before he left 2 batters into the 7th inning. And Jesus Luzardo, who was born and raised by Malpal, struck out 8 over 5 1/3, 4 runs and 6 hits. John Birdie homered. Eovaldi was playing catch yesterday, and Bochy says that he would do that a few more times, and it's still going to be about 2 to 3 weeks before Eovaldi comes back. To make a long story short, there you go. That's the ins and outs of it. John Gray. Let me have a sip of coffee, please. 1 minute.
Where is the coffee?
I already have it next to me, Leonard. Nothing. I already took a drink. I'm ready to go. Okay. John Gray is 0-4 over his last 8 starts since early June, but he's going to pitch today, and I'm not sure who he's going up against yet. Twins beat Diamondbacks 3-2. The Diamondbacks lost for the 20th time in the last 27 games. They're in 3rd place. They entered the night 6.5 games behind the Dodgers. The Twins, however, kept their 2.5 game edge on the Indians in the American League Central. Merrill Kelly, 6 innings, 9 strikeouts. He allowed 3 or fewer runs for the 10th time in his last 11 starts. That's pretty good. I like the Arizona Diamondbacks pitching coach. Bailey Ober pulled after 5 innings and 104 pitches. Michael A. Taylor and Jorge Polanco and Max Kepler all hit home runs. Yoan Duran got his 20th save, and Lourdes Gurriel, one of my greatest little friends this year, and will continue to be a friend as long as he keeps going low in drafts, homered and scored the go-ahead run. You want to talk about a good baseball player, I think it's Lourdes Gurriel. He's just well-rounded, and he's good. Also, the Twins welcomed their new pitcher, Dallas Keuchel. He was promoted from AAA this week, and he slotted into the rotation to pitch today for the injured Joe Ryan. Again, breaking news, Byron Buxton, 10-day injured list. He's got a strained right hamstring, and he's expected to miss 2 weeks. Tonight, it's Kenta Maeda against Ryan Nelson. Kenta Maeda has been pitching very good. He has a 2.63 ERA and 51 strikeouts in 37 2/3 innings in his last 7 starts since he came off the injured list. Alfonso Rivas is wasting no time making a favorable impression on his new team. He hit a 3-run homer and a triple among his 3 hits in his second game with Pittsburgh to help the Pirates beat the Brewers 8-4. Milwaukee maintained his half-game lead in the NL Central over Cincinnati, and Milwaukee scored twice off of Pirates starting pitcher Quinn Priester in the bottom of the first, but they couldn't do much more after that. The Brewers, they left 10 men on base and wasted a couple of really good opportunities. Colin Ray struck out 2, but he gave up 8 hits, 3 walks, and 6 runs in 4 innings. He has allowed so many homers, 9 home runs over his last 6 starts. Brian Reynolds went 3 for 5. He had a homer and a double. Henry Davis and Josh Palacios went deep. Carlos Santana homered against his former team. Mark Canha went 3 for 5 with an RBI, and Jesse Winker is scheduled to start swinging the bat today. He is continuing his recovery from back injury. It's kept him out since July 26th. Jesse Winker. I was fooled into liking him at the beginning of the season too, but honestly, after I drafted him and stuff, I said, why do you even like this guy? He's just mediocre all around. I mean, what do you expect this guy to do? It's not even a good sleeper. Anyway, Bailey faltered tonight against Corbin Burns. The Rockies beat the Cardinals 9-4 in a matchup of last place teams. St. Louis Cardinals have dropped 6 of their last 8 games, and the Colorado Rockies won for just the 3rd time in 9 games. The Rockies finished with 15 hits. They kicked off a 10-game trip by earning their first win in St. Louis since 2018, and they snapped a 12-game losing streak at Busch Stadium. They are 7-35 in St. Louis since 2010. 7-35. These poor Rockies cannot beat the Cardinals at home, but they did last night. Adam Wainwright, 7 runs, 9 hits, 3 innings. He's still stuck at 198 career wins, okay? That stinks. This guy's been stuck at 198. I mean, is he even going to hit 200 this year? It's just, we don't know. But I wouldn't have said that 2 weeks ago when he's been stuck there. He entered the game last night, 12-1, with a 1.38 ERA and 18 career outings against the Rockies, and he still couldn't do it. Chris Flexen, Lenny's friend, pitched 5 innings for his first win of the season. Flexen permitted 3 runs and 10 hits, so he got lucky, basically.
Told you.
Lots of Nolans coming up. We have Nolan Jones, who had 4 hits and 3 RBIs. Nolan Gorman, who hit 2 homers and has 24 on the season. And Nolan Arenado, who hit his 23rd homer leading off the 2nd inning. He finished the night with 3 hits. Elias Diaz had 2 hits and drove in 2 runs. Ryan Helsley will begin rehab tomorrow at Double-A Springfield. And tonight you get to see Ty Black against Steven Matz. We're going to finish early this morning. Eugenio Suarez set a franchise record with his 10th straight game with an RBI, and the Mariners beat the Angels 9-7. Both teams combined for 7 home runs in this game. Seattle had its 6th 4-homer game of the season. The Mariners have won 3 straight and 5 of their last 6 games. They are now 2.5 games within Toronto for the final wildcard spot. The Angels have dropped 4 in a row. Even though they were clearly aggressive at the trade deadline, they've lost 6 of their last 8 games, and they are 5 games back in the wildcard chase. Suarez is the first American League player since the Angels' Jared Walsh in 2020 to have at least 10 straight games with an RBI. Ty France, Dylan Moore, Julio Rodriguez, and Cal Raleigh, they all went deep for the Mariners, and Rengifo, Moustakas, and Moniak homered for the Blue Jays. Matt Brash, second save. Wait, this is not the Blue Jays. I'm talking about the Angels. Yeah, because then I see Reed Detmers, the infamous Reed Detmers at this point. This poor guy. Okay, 7 runs, 9 hits, 2 walks, struck out only 4, because really one of the things that you can only just grasp for hope with Detmers is that he strikes out a lot of batters, okay? And he does usually pitch deep into games. And now, after yesterday, I can't even say that anymore. He has gone now 5 straight outings without a win. He only made it through 4 innings yesterday. And he struck out only 4. He's failed to complete 5 innings in 3 of his last 5 starts. So, yes, I can no longer say that he goes deep into games, all right? That changes so quickly, you never know. I still like Detmers for next year because I know that he is not going to be a popular draft pick, and he will help your team more than he's going to cost you, in my opinion. Depends on what kind of league you're in, of course. He allowed home runs, which accounted for 6 of the 7 runs against him. So, no bueno. C.J. Cron extended the major's longest active hitting streak with 14 games. He's batting 7 of 55 with 12 RBI during the last 14 games, which is the longest of his career. And now we have Teoscar Hernandez in Seattle, 3 hits. He's gone 9 for 30 in his last 6 games. Ohtani is likely to make his next start, although in my own opinion here, I can't believe that they're not going to give this. This guy is just exhausted, and it's so obvious. He's just tired. This guy bats and pitches in every game. He bats in games that he pitches, and he plays every day. I mean, you want to talk about burnout? We talk a lot about how it's a long season, and these players get tired, which is what drives a lot of them to take Adderall and stuff like that. Nope, I don't. Look, this is not about that. But the whole point is, it's an exhausting, long season. You got to look. I mean, I get that Ohtani's the best player on the team, and they're trying to do something. But this poor guy, like, I'm sorry, I don't know. They're gonna have him pitch on Wednesday. Doesn't matter. He's got cramping in his hand, cramping in his legs. He's got a blister. He's got a cut fingernail. And they still throw him out there. It's great for fantasy people, but I don't know. Is it great for his future? Are they already accepting the fact that he's not going to stay at the Angels, and that's why they don't give one flying two about his health? Have they... I mean, you would think that if they plan on signing him long term, they would rest the poor guy. But, okay, whatever. I mean, they're 5 games out of the wild card, so it's time to... either just say, I don't know. They made these moves at the trade deadline, so you can't blame them for continuing to try. But I hope in the near future, when they accept the fact they can't win, they lay off Ohtani a little. Okay, maybe not. I mean, I'm just rambling. The Dodgers, Chris Taylor, pinch hitter JD Martinez, both of them consecutive bases loaded walks during a bullpen meltdown in a 5-run 8th inning, lifted the Dodgers to a 10-5 win on Friday. It was their 6th straight victory against the Padres. That stinks. Danny Fuller, the Dodgers won their 4th straight game overall and kept the Padres from reaching 500. The Padres were about to reach 500 for the first time since May 11th. Since they lost to the Padres on May 5th, they've outscored the Padres 29-12 in the 6 straight wins. It's horrible. But one bright note for the Padres, they wasted a strong effort by Yu Darvish. Darvish held the Dodgers to 2 runs and 5 hits in 7 innings. He struck out 4 and he only walked 1. Okay, he made it through 7 innings. Bobby Miller, 2 runs, 1 earned, and 6 hits, 3 2/3. James Outman had a great night. He stole a home run from Tatis Jr., and then he hit his 13th homer. Evan Phillips, 14th save, and Robert Suarez, 5 runs on 2 hits and 3 walks. He got only 2 outs on a career-high 33 pitches in the 8th. So Robert Suarez can be blamed for the absolute meltdown of the Padres bullpen. The Dodgers also scored 3 more runs off of Scott Barlow. Another, I don't know, he came in the 9th inning. The Dodgers scored 3 runs off this guy. It was horrible bullpen for the Padres. Juan Soto hit his 24th homer. And as I mentioned earlier, Musgrove on the 15-day IL, retroactive to Monday. He's got capsule inflammation in his shoulder. And tonight you get to see Michael Grove against Blake Snell. And that's it. I'm finished early, so we're going to have a great day today. I really appreciate everybody coming into the chat room. I'm not as comfortable here as I am at home, but that's that. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Aiden.
We need a legend tomorrow.
Thank you, Unholy. Thank you.
Maybe from the car.
Did you shut the door all the way? Or you just came out of the bathroom? Boston Paul, Big Al, Data Premier, Daniel Ferrara, Danny Fuller, Dennis Timko, Eddie Heckman, Lenny, James Caprileon, Unholy, Audrey, Scooter, Tilly, Molly, and Molly, Tilly, Rudy, Audrey, and Scooter. We might do Lady and the Legend from the car tomorrow, but I'm sure many of you remember the last time we had attempted to do Lady and the Legend in the car. I had to erase the whole episode because it just turned out to be a nightmare. But we will try, and we will be here in the morning, and I hope everybody has a wonderful day today. It's a Saturday. Enjoy your family, have some beers, and watch some baseball.